I got a secret to tell. Everybody loves secrets, and I've got a secret of my own to tell. But before I do that, let's get this whole thing started. Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here. I already went through them, and I'm going to show you what I found. But before I do that, let's talk about this week's tip. This week's tip is my secret, my real secret. The secret I'm going to share with you is, well, just that. The reason why I do these videos. It's been a secret to everybody I talk to. The reason I do these videos is because, well, I have an extensive collection, some of you would say. And of course, to have a collection like that, you need to keep it in a safe place. I obviously have a safety deposit box where I have all of my bills, both high denomination, low denomination. But the thing is, to have such an extensive collection and to have it sitting in a safety deposit box, well, that's like keeping a secret. It's secretive. Nobody else gets to see that. I am the only one that gets to see this stuff. I can tell people I own the stuff. I can show someone a picture. I can take out a book and say, look, I've got one of those. Or I can do exactly what I'm doing here. That is the big secret. You see, by being a bill collector, by being a coin collector, you don't really want to have your stuff in your house because your stuff is worth a lot of money. So if you've got all your stuff in a safety deposit box, well, now you never get to see it. The way to solve that problem? You make yourself a YouTube channel. That's what I have done. By using this YouTube channel, what I've been able to do is I've been able to take, well, not all of my bills because I still have plenty more to show, but I've been able to take my bills and basically memorialize them on YouTube. I can go onto YouTube anytime I want and I can see any of my bills, and yet there's no danger of me ever being robbed or anything like that because all of my stuff is locked away in a safety deposit box. So that is my tip for this week. If you have a lot of cool different things locked away in a safety deposit box somewhere, I'd recommend taking them out a couple at a time and just making a short little video. That way, all you have to do is click on your computer or click on your TV, and you get to appreciate your own stuff. So that is my tip for this week, and also my secret. That's what kind of got me started into YouTube. It's a way for me to see my own collection without risking losing any of the bills or damaging any of the bills. Anyway, that's what I got for you this week. I've got my $1,000 in singles. Went through those. Let's see what I found. Start this week off with a Where's George bill. Love Where's George. Got to look that one up. It's a different type of stamp than I've seen in a while, so I'm very curious to see where this one has gone. I will check that out as soon as I'm done filming. Found some trinaries. This one is zeros, sixes, and sevens. I thought it was a binary at first because I didn't notice that it was a 7 to start with, but it is a trinary with that 7 there. This one is zeros, threes, and sixes. This one is zeros, threes, and nines. Lots of zeros on that. There's 5 zeros on that bill, and it's pretty impressive that there are not more than 3 of them together. This one is zeros, twos, and fives. Now, this is probably one of the more interesting trinaries I have come across in a long time. First of all, it's a trinary, 2s, 3s, and 6s. You can all see that. Secondly, it has quad 2s, so you've got 4 2s to end this particular one. Now, the third thing that makes this interesting is this note is technically all pairs. Now, think about that. It starts off with a pair of 3s, then it has a pair of 6s, then it has a pair of 2s, and then it has another pair of 2s. So technically, this note qualifies under all kinds of different circumstances. It is a trinary, it's quads, it's pairs. There's not too many other categories for it to fall into, to be honest. So I was really excited to see a neat number like that. This brings us to the rest of the quads. This one was this one is actually also a trinary, isn't it? 4s, 6s, and 7s with quad 4s in the middle of that one. This one's also quad 4s, ending in quad 4s there. Quad 7s on this one. bent corner, but the paper quality is really good. This one is quad 8s, nice bill, crisp, sharp corners. And quad 9s, found stars. Let's see, these are 2013 for the most part, and I stress for the most part. 2013 star. And this one, take a look, 1995 star note. Like I said, for the most part, they were 2013s, but here's a 1995 star note. I'll be eager to look that one up. You don't find the older star notes very often, so I was happy to see that. I did find a couple birthday notes. This one would be from 1931. It's either July 1st or it's January 7th of 1931. And this one's a little bit older, 1929, either April 2nd or February 4th of 1929. And then this bill. I had to look at this bill 2 or 3 times, and then I had to do my homework on it to figure this one out. This is, you wouldn't really call it a birthday note because I don't think anybody watching was born in 1791. However, it would be an anniversary note, or it would be a historical date note or a calendar note or something to that effect. You can see it's 02/29/1791. Now let's think about that. That would be February 29th, 1791. As most of you know, February 29th does not exist most of the time. However, February 29th is the date of a leap year. But 1791 is an odd numbered year, so there is no way that 1791 actually had a February 29th. So once again, a random bill that I am looking through caused all kinds of controversy in my little pea brain, and that's what I had come up with. So I may keep that just because it's a neat little story that goes with that. Did find older bills. This one is 1999. 1995. Paper quality on this one's a lot better. Another 95. Another 95. This one's a little rough. 1995. Very bright color, or very bright paper, I should say, not color. Very crisp, good bill. 1993 in rough shape. This is a 1988. Not an 88A. This is a 1988. You don't find a lot of these. These don't come around very often. My oldest bill was one of the nicest bills that I found condition-wise. This was a 1981A. This bill is very crisp. For a bill from 1981, think about how old this bill is as we speak. This bill is pushing, 40 years old? Very crisp. A little bit of a curl on the corner. Not a fold, just a little bit of a curl. Bill has this very light crease here, just from handling. Not that I put it there, but there it is. So it is in extremely good shape for a 1981A. And that was the oldest bill that I found. So, what did I pull out from my safety deposit box this week? Well, I wanted to continue on what I was talking about last week. Last week I pulled out a 1914 Blue Seal $10 bill that was a Federal Reserve note. In 1914, they also made a Red Seal note. And this is that 1914 Red Seal note. The Red Seal notes were the first ones that they made. They didn't make very many of them. Then they converted over to the Blue Seal. Oddly enough, on a Federal Reserve note, they're not supposed to be red. They're not supposed to be blue. Federal Reserve notes are supposed to have a green seal. And as you can clearly see, that's a Red Seal. But the Red Seal notes are worth significantly more than the Blue Seal notes. I'll flip this over, let you take a look at the back of this one. And I know you guys are all going, what are you showing me this hideous bill for? And, well, that's because it's along the same topic as what I was talking about last week. By the way, I should zoom in here, showing the farmers with the horses tilling the fields. On the other side, it has the factories billowing all their smoke and everything else. You can see the train cars here in the foreground, in front of the factories, getting ready to take everything to market. But the glaring observation is this bill has been completely torn in half, taped back together, And there it is. You can see the border is hideous, and it is in horrendous shape. So why do I have it? Well, I have it for a couple reasons. First and foremost, you've seen a number of my bills, and if I'm going to spend big bucks on a bill, I'm going to spend it for a reason. You guys have seen my chief note. That's worth quite a bit of money. This particular bill doesn't have that much of a story to tell. To me, it's a neat bill, but I'm not going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on one of these notes. But I did manage to find this particular bill in this horrendous condition at a ridiculously cheap price. Now, when I say ridiculously cheap price, let me bring out the book and explain where we're going with this. If I was to show you the book right here on top, series of 1914 with the red seal. This one is New York. It's actually number 893A in the book. And in VG8, it's $275. In fine 12, you're talking $400. I paid $400 for my chief note. And you guys have all seen that chief note, and that chief note is beautiful. This note, it's a neat note, but I don't really want to fork out $400 for one of these. It's, like I said, it's just an older note. To me, it doesn't have that draw. But being a collector, I still wanted one. So rather than spending $400 on one of these, what I did was I found one that was in pretty hideous shape, which brings back last week's question. Let's take a look at those numbers one more time in this book. Once again, if you look at at 893A let's take it all the way. A93A in gem uncirculated is $7,000 at 65. If it was a 63, it's worth half of that, less than half of that, $3,000. If it's a 60, it's worth $2,250. At a 40, it's worth $1,500. At a 20, it's worth $750. At a 12, it's $400. From 12 to 8, the price goes from $400 to $275. So what do you think the price would go at from 8 to 4? If it was $400, then $275. That's a little less, or a little more than half. So if we were to call that $150, would that be reasonable at a 4? And if it's $150 at 4, what would it be at 2? $80, $90 at a 2? Is that unspeakable? Is that ridiculous? No, I guess not. I guess that's how you would have to look at that particular note. And if that note is worth, like I said, $80, $100 as a 2, what grade do you give this monstrosity? 2? It's there. You can see what it is. It has most of itself here. It is taped together. And the best part about this note is that it is a Federal Reserve note, which means I can take it to the bank and get $10. A Federal Reserve note is still good. Silver certificates, not supposed to redeem those. Legal tenders, not supposed to redeem those. But this is a Federal Reserve note. Being a Federal Reserve note, it's still worth $10 no matter what. And if I wanted to get a $10 bill, I can go to the bank and get a brand new $10 bill worth $10. So if a brand new $10 bill is worth $10, then what is this 109-year-old piece of paper worth? That's the question. And that's where you can start making money, collecting money. Because there is no written price for a bill in a condition like this. And whenever you've got margins that big, you can always make a little bit of money. So that's what I've got for you this week. My 1914 Red Seal $10 bill in horrendous shape that I'm sure some of you would still like to have just because you don't have one, which is exactly my point. If you don't have one, get yourself one. Fill that hole in your collection, and if you eventually want to spend more money on one, go for it. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you this week. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. If you learned anything new, hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again next week.